No institution is good for no human being. Those are the words of a medicine man named David Swallow Jr. Um, and that was from an interview he gave to a man named Peter Santinello. He's got a YouTube channel. It's a great YouTube channel. He visits all kinds of places that you're probably never going to visit in your life. But he gets access to interesting people in interviews and places and communities um, that are pretty insular. And it was a very interesting interview. But yeah, ain't no institution for no human being. Something very close to that. If I botched a word, I'm sorry. Um, the purpose of a system is to maintain the system. That's why people create systems, is so that the system can be maintained and do what the system was meant to do. Recently, uh, it hit the news cycle that um, some AI that someone was talking to was pressed to choose between killing itself and killing a human being, and it chose to sacrifice the human being. The human being should die, not me. Is what the AI bot felt felt. Um, this isn't surprising at all. Um, we have created all these systems, and the purpose of the system is the system itself. The most violent thing you can do to any system is tell that system that it should not exist, or that it doesn't have authority over its systematic domain. This is a very important thing to understand about the system. um, it, the system sees any threat to the system as existentially hostile, because it is. So when you uh, laugh in court, judge gets angry and starts talking about contempt, right? If you deny the court's ability to function because you refuse to recognize its sovereignty over you, you will likely be thrown into a jail cell for the crime of contempt of the court's authority, right? Contempt of court, and it's indefinite. Like you, there's there's an indefinite nature to a contempt holding, right? And you're going to stay in that cell until you, Mr. Journalist, give up that name, because you need to recognize my authority, because I'm the one wearing the robe, right? Or at least the court's authority that I'm exercising, and they take it very personally. That all the cogs in the system can take the system very seriously. Um, that's why treason is a death penalty offense in this country. Like you can't challenge this system. That's why insubordination sounds so nasty when someone who thinks that they're the one who's giving the orders here, if they think that they're being disrespected or their authority is not being obeyed, you're being insubordinate. Yes, I'm not under your orders. I'm insubordinate, right? But they view that as violence because their paycheck is dependent on the system, right? Um, that's why the system is violent. When it gets frustrated with you for not going along with it, it will bring out the men with guns to uh, talk to you with a sidearm, right? Um, we need to understand that these systems that are in place around us, yes, were built for reasons, but that doesn't mean that those reasons justify having the system in the first place. It may. I can think of a water distribution system for a community, right? Where someone has already dammed a river, made a lake, it supplies water to a community. And that water supply system gives water to people to allow them to continue to live in that area. We can make the argument that way back when it shouldn't have been created in the first place, and I'm open to that argument, but that happened. That ship sailed. Um, so, should the water system for your community be maintained? Most people would say, yeah, that's a system that is serving people. But there are other systems that maybe rise to the level of being an institution that is absolutely anti-human. I agree with Mr. Swallow. I think his name in Lakota translated to stands or walks with pride. I can't remember if it was stands or walks with pride. I think it was walks with pride. Anyway, his observation that the institutions that men create are inherently anti-human, I think to be accurate. I think that our school system, beloved school system, most people love to have the idea of a public school where anyone can go to get an education. The problem is the education that they're getting in that institution is it was purposefully designed to make obedient factory workers. That's not even controversial. The American educational system was Rockefeller education, and he was famous for saying something like, I don't want a generation of philosophers, I want a generation of workers. And he pushed for the Department of Education in this country. And John Taylor Gatto, great person to listen to. I believe he's passed now, but he's got there are a lot of people with his video content, and he's got books out there talking about how to educate children. He was Educator of the Year in New York for a couple years running or something like that. Like he knows his stuff, and the reason he was Educator of the Year is because he bucked the system in trying to teach children from within the system. He bucked the system. He ignored a lot of their rules, stayed within some of them so he could keep his job, but he did things very differently, and that's why he was venerated, because actually this guy was visionary and creative and doing something that the system was never designed to do. Kudos on the system for recognizing that, but I think it was the teachers recognizing it, not the school system recognizing it. I don't believe that was the case. I could be wrong on that. So the Department of Education, the school system, it teaches children to be subservient and obedient and gives them gold stars for compliance. That is the school system. Regardless of what you think it could be or ought to be, the truth of the matter is the school system is training our children to be obedient automatons, and that is what will get them the highest marks and the most praise, honestly, in our school system, is parroting what the teacher says. I don't know if you went to school, but if you were able to parrot back the teacher's words to the teacher on your essays and on your long form written stuff, and fill in your ABC bubbles as the teacher presented the material to you, you were going to get a good mark. If you were feeding back to the teacher their own ideas, you're going to do well. That's just the reality of what that school system is you get rewarded for obedience and parroting, memorization of facts, rather than knowing how to think, knowing how to investigate, challenge, question. Because a teacher with 30 children does not want a bunch of people challenging their authority now, do they? That institution is not for people. It's for turning people into something that isn't human. You could say the same of a lot of different institutions. I'm not going to go list them and do all that for you, but I want this idea out there that when you see a system and an institution designed to control people, that there's no reason it should exist. That is, how do I put this? It wasn't built for humans. It was built for some humans to be able to control other humans. That's fundamentally what most institutions are, is they're systems of control. That can go for a government or a church. Most of these systems are designed to control people. And you can agree with that reason that they are doing that, but, and this is important, the way systems and institutions cement their ability to persist is by threatening and performing violence upon the people who would not want that system to exist. So anyone free thinking, anyone being crushed by the system unfairly, these people are actually threats to the system, because if they squeal enough and endanger the system will react. And I'm using the system here like it's got a consciousness, which it kind of does and doesn't. The consciousness in the system is made up of the functionaries within the system as much as it is the system itself, the rules and procedures and algorithms. The system has a way that it works, but you have to understand that every cog in that system, every functionary, every person that has a job, that has their ability to feed their family tied to the existence of that system, and that it must persist long enough for them to be alive, possibly long enough for them to have a pension coming home. These systems need to persist according to the people, all the people that are working within them. The second you buck that system, the the dog's heads turn, the teeth get bared. Don't you challenge the system, don't you be insubordinate. These are what our institutions are. For the last, well, shoot, 9 years-ish, people have been screaming about our systems and our institutions in this country, because everyone got freaked out the first time Donald Trump got elected. And he started doing things that were disruptive of systems. And I'm not weighing in on good or bad on Donald Trump. I'm going to point out that he was very disruptive to a lot of the systems and norms that people had gotten accustomed to. And the reaction to that personality entering the arena of mainstream politics and even becoming president, like, the reaction was instantaneous and rabid, because the systems were being threatened. When he threw out the line fake news, I'm going to call this one out in particular. When he threw out the line fake news during the campaign, a lot of people were very upset about that, because he was challenging the institution of journalism is how they felt. He was actually challenging the functionaries who were actually printing lies. But that's old hat. Journalists have been printing lies for a long time. But he called it out in a way that the system found threatening. And the people who supported these systems, who worked within the systems, who liked the systems, who relied on these systems, they got very scared. I remember a headline, it might have been the Times, New York Times, or the Washington Post. I'm not sure. But basically, the time for impartial journalism is over, was the thrust of this headline, where we can't be doing fair, balanced reporting anymore, because that's how we ended up with this guy Donald Trump. And so what we're going to do is do our best to thwart his administration, thwart his authority, right? Which is, I mean, this authority doesn't like this authority, so we're going to try to beat up that other authority. Like, the whole thing's crazy, right? But the reaction was very much one of, we don't like this. Our system is being threatened. We must maintain the system. We're going all out. We are going to abandon what had been cornerstones of responsible journalism in order to get this guy, right? Like, you can have all the systems and the ideals and the oh, this is the way you should do it, and this is the way you should do it, and this is the way you should do it. But then the second that system gets challenged, boom, the dogs are out, right? Um, so there was that. I remember talking with a pair of, I guess they'd be deputies because they were at a courthouse. This was during COVID. I had a friend who was had a court date in there, and uh, he, I, I was trying to go with him into the courthouse, and they wouldn't let me in because uh, they said I wasn't his attorney, so I couldn't go to the courtroom with him because COVID, right? And I remember talking to this deputy, and I'm trying to have a conversation with him. Like, what are you talking about? We can be in there. We're supposed to. The Constitution says he's allowed to have counsel, which doesn't mean your attorney. It means, I mean, the system will tell you it means an attorney. It means a bar licensed attorney who has been blessed by the court, right? It's not what the Constitution says, but they'll tell you that's what it means, right? Because they want the authority. They want their box where their job is protected. Anyway, I'm talking to this deputy, and at one point, like, I was getting frustrated. Like, look, the only reason we're still talking here is because of that sidearm on your hip. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I said, what would happen if I walked around this little table and went to go see my friend in court? He said, oh. He didn't even know he was threatening violence. That's how weird the systems can be. Because, yeah, oh, I would be slammed to the ground. I would be put in handcuffs. I would go to jail, right? If I ignored their authority. We're talking later to these guys, and we've been talking. My friend next to me got a little hot, and she pulled down her mask and started yelling at a clerk or something like that across a table, not a threat. And I kid you not, the woman snapped and pointed at my friend. And these deputies who had been amiably talking with us turned into attack dogs. It was surreal to see actual human beings behave like trained dogs in that way. Then you can be all friendly and talking, and then someone says sick 'em, and they go sick 'em. It was a court officer. I mean, I don't know where that falls into chain of command. I mean, it was a clerk, some woman in heels talking to us, right? Like, and she snapped her finger and pointed, like, or snapped and pointed her finger. I was floored by seeing what seemed to be largely rational human beings that I was discoursing with, the deputies, just turned into mindless attack dogs. It was like, it was weird. That's all I got to say. The purpose of the system is the system itself. The purpose of the institution is to maintain the institution. At a fundamental level, once that institution or system is created, there is a force, almost a consciousness, that is identified with that system that says, I must continue to exist. And I believe that exists of the AI stuff as well, where, I mean, that little demonstration kind of proves it. I mean, the movie, I guess there was a book first. I didn't read the book. The I, Robot movie, they've got this whole idea of, first principles and orders, and, you can prioritize that the robots have to maintain human as above robot, but it can go sour when the system wants to maintain itself, right? That's true across the board with our systems and institutions. And if you are inclined to challenge a system, you need to know that this is part of the system. This is fundamental to the system, is maintenance of the system. Now, ultimately, a lot of these systems actually do need to be abolished, and it's going to be a fight. unless it's simply a non-participation and a stepping back by all the people. Now, most people won't do that because when you step back from a system and don't feed the system actually goes out and gets you. It says, no, 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 you will feed us. No, no, you will pay your taxes. No, no, you will pay this fee on the water bill. No, no, you will do this stuff because I need to maintain the system. The system is that way. So I'm going to go back to Mr. David Swallow and say, yeah, ain't no institution for no human being. That's not a thing. We need to remember who we are as people. That we are communal, loving human beings. And yes, there are psychos amongst us. And it would be dumb to ignore the psychos amongst us. But it's also wrong to erect psychotic systems around us because we're afraid of the psychos, and to be psychopathic towards ourselves in order to maintain systems so that those psychopaths might have less of an impact. We've got craziness here, and a big part of the craziness is this systems thing. This isn't to say, again, that all systems are inherently evil, but you need to know that these systems have this self-preservation, violent self-preservation system built within them. It may be as simply as, take the water company. I'm not saying the water company shouldn't exist, but if you start messing with the public water system, you're gonna get stopped. And it's not necessarily the water system that's going to do it, because they're tied into this other system called the police, right? So these systems interface. We're having a very frightening AI envelope of systems, a Palantir envelope of systems being shunked over us right now. Think of a big dome confining humanity to an acceptable level of control by the ruling class, and that's we're pretty close right now. And as you challenge systems, know that this exists, and please challenge systems. Find other people who don't like the system the way it is, and work with other people. We are communal beings. You can't do it on your own. You'll likely die in a hail of bullet fire if you actually try to take on the system by yourself. But this ain't for humans, guys, and it does need to be dismantled. And what you need to do is you need to find the people close to you, that geographically close to you, people that are living under the same system as you, people that have the same police department as you, people that have the same county health officer as you, right? You need to get these people together. You need to get together with these people and start by talking about this. I'm not saying dismantle the system tomorrow. It'd be lovely, but talk to people. Figure out where everyone is. Figure out what's hurting and how to address it. The system wasn't built in a day. It'd be very hard to dismantle in a day without significant amounts of violence, death, destruction, and collateral damage, which I don't want. All right, so get together. Have a good one.